Welcome to the Movies to Watch Before You Die podcast. My name is Gab, and I'm here with my cousin and co-host.
Dylan.
And today we are talking about a movie that I have nominated as one to watch before you die. It is a classic love story that I think changes a little bit each time you watch it. I'm excited to hear what you have to say, Dill. That is the 1989 Rob Reiner, may he rest in peace,
Yeah,
film
R.I.P.
written by Nora Ephron, When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, I don't think it changes each time. I think I change each time I watch it, at least in the two
Oh,
times I've watched it.
that's kind of what I meant to say, and it
Yeah.
came out wrong, and I was like, oh, I'm going with it. Yeah, to be clear, the film remains exactly the same each time. Um, but it definitely, your experience colors how you view it. So obviously, with recent events, we knew we wanted to do a Rob Reiner film. I toyed with doing The Princess Bride. We have both obviously seen and adore that movie. I don't think there's a lot of people in the world who haven't and don't.
If you want a Princess Bride
So
episode, here it is. It's a movie to watch before you die.
yeah, it's perfect. It
Yeah.
wouldn't change a thing. So the question became sort of like, what is the best way to talk about Rob Reiner and not necessarily make it super obvious, in terms of like whether or not we would call it a movie to watch before you die. I think we toyed with the idea of This Is Spinal Tap. I've never seen it.
Which that's kind of crazy to me because I do feel like it's sort of you don't get to even stuff like The Office and Parks and Rec without Spinal Tap.
Do you think that so whenever I think of like mockumentary, I think of Christopher Guest. What
Yes.
is the relationship like? Which came first? What's more influential?
Well, this is Christopher Guest also, but
Oh,
this is Spinal Tap. Christopher Guest is I believe one of the three. I want to make sure that I'm right on that. It's him, Harry Shearer, and Michael McKean are the three members of Spinal Tap.
oh, and is Christopher Guest like a writer on
On
the film?
that, he's an actor in it, and I believe he's one of the screenwriters as well. But so much of that film is just improvised.
Right, right. Okay, that makes sense. But
Like
it
Rob
is it
Reiner
is
technically acts in the movie as he is making a
the
movie about
director.
them. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Wow. I always thought, at first, I thought it was a Christopher Guest movie. But you know what? I felt the same way about When Harry Met Sally. I always kind of thought, oh, this is a Nora Ephron film. But I don't think I ever realized that she didn't direct it. Like it's Rob Reiner directed it.
Yeah, but it's got, her DNA is all over it too.
Yeah. Did she direct any of the other famous movies that are attributed to her? I know you don't have this information off the top of your head, but like I think of Sleepless in Seattle. I think of what's the other one?
You've got mail?
You've Got Mail, thank you.
I think she did, but I'm going to double check right now. Yeah, she directed You've Got Mail. She directed Sleepless in Seattle,
Okay.
Michael, Mixed Nuts, Bewitched, Julie and Julia. So she directed a lot of the stuff that she wrote as well.
Okay. All right. So I'm not crazy. So it's interesting that in the Venn diagram of Nora Ephron and Christopher Guest, in the overlap, we have Rob Reiner.
Yeah, which Rob Reiner, this comes during a streak of, and I've seen it talked about a lot lately, that has a director ever had a better, you know, 5 movie peak or however many movies it is than he was in during this time. Because during this time, he's putting out, like we said, The Princess Bride, this, Misery, A Few Good Men, like just hit after hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And no, well, I shouldn't say no to films, but like a wide variety of films.
He,
It's not just like a bunch of rom-coms.
yeah, I would say somebody's a director who could kind of do it all. You know what I mean? You didn't necessarily ever put him in a box of, oh, he does this. Like Michael Bay, oh, it's going to be an action movie. That was
Yeah.
never Rob Reiner. You could get a little bit of anything with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, to the degree that you feel it's worthwhile, I feel like we also have to kind of take a step back and talk a little bit about his father.
Carl Reiner, yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I should have looked this up before we started, but he wrote the Dick Van Dyke Show. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I saw something where it was Rob Reiner talking about his father and just how legendarily he could just pump out screenplays in a day. You know what I mean? Every day he'd have something else written. So he did. He was a writer for the Dick Van Dyke Show. He was in Ocean's 11. He's in The Jerk.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think of what else he wrote that I would know for sure. Lots
Sorry,
of
I didn't
Luck
mean
is
to
another
like.
thing I see. The Dick Van Dyke Show, The Thrill of It All, A Date with Debbie, and the Chevy Show. I'm like, oh wow,
Great.
that is clearly from 1950s, where it was just like, and
Yeah.
here's a brand.
Have you seen his episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee?
I've never seen any episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee.
Really?
Yeah, I've never seen it. Is it good?
Why?
I've never had much of an interest in seeing an episode of it.
Oh, you would love it. It's all like it's great. Um, so he and Jerry are at a diner, right? And they're having coffee and breakfast. And Carl Reiner is talking about how Mel Brooks comes over his house every night. And they have dinner and they watch Jeopardy. So he tapes Jeopardy. Mel comes over at 8. They watch Jeopardy and eat dinner, and then afterward they watch a movie. And he goes, "We love a movie that either has we love a movie where they say something about the perimeter, surround the perimeter. What's the phrase? Secure the
Secure the
perimeter.
perimeter.
Sorry,
Okay.
secure the perimeter, and some other line that was like, get some rest. That's what it was. They love movies where they say secure the perimeter and get some rest.
I feel like I'd heard something like that before. Oh, so sad that he and Rob Reiner are both gone.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure you'll have this in the facts, but to kind of bring it back to When Harry Met Sally, the sort of note that's been floating around the internet as of late is that Rob Reiner's wife, who was unfortunately also killed,
Michelle Singer.
um,
Yeah,
yeah, Michelle Singer, she and Rob met on the set of When Harry Met Sally, and she was the inspiration for the ending of the film.
absolutely correct. I would have that in the facts, but I'll elaborate on that more. And just to
Thank you.
clarify, because we briefly alluded to it, Rob Reiner in 6 years puts out these five movies: Stand by Me, The Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men.
It's unbelievable.
And many have said what torched the streak was his next movie, North, which we have said is a movie to watch before you die.
Oh my God, I don't even think I realized that that was him. It makes perfect sense. I love that movie.
Now, the irony about that movie is he wasn't supposed to direct it. He wanted to direct. There was another screenplay he loved that Castle Rock Productions, his production company, ends up making, but the screenwriter wanted to direct the movie. And the screenwriter was Frank Darabont, and he wanted to direct The Shawshank Redemption. So Rob Reiner was
Oh,
unable to direct The Shawshank Redemption, so he took a project from his friend and screenwriter Alan Zweibel, North.
wow. So in a world where the screenwriter for Shawshank is like, no, it's cool, go ahead, that would have been a Rob Reiner film.
Yeah, Frank Darabont says, you know what, I'm cool with not directing it. Rob, you go ahead. Rob Reiner would have directed Shawshank Redemption instead.
Do you think it would have been better?
I don't know if you can make Shawshank Redemption any better.
That's true. It's true. All
But
right.
it certainly wouldn't have been bad still. It still would have been
Yeah.
a great movie either way. Yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't have torched the streak. Amazing. Well, I think everybody was a little bit heartbroken to hear the news about Rob Reiner. Obviously, as details come out, it becomes more and more heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I feel for his children, and so many people that loved him. And of course, his close friends who have all been mourning, some of whom are in this film.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Should we get past the sad stuff and should we talk more about the actual movie itself?
Let's do it. So, Dylan, what is When Harry Met Sally about?
What's this all been about? What am I working toward?
Explain!
As you would a child.
You think you know everything about me, don't you?
I dive at your bottom. I bloody well ought to.
When Harry Met Sally is about Harry Burns and Sally Albright and basically seeing them journey a little over 12 years to realizing that they are, in fact, in love with each other.
Okay. Not how I would have phrased it, but acceptable.
Something about
What
the
is
rom-com
IMDb
that I
say?
find interesting is just the dramatic irony of like, we know they're going to end up together. You know what I mean? It's like the horror movie where we know something bad is going to happen, except it's the reverse, where it's like, we know the good's coming. When's it coming? Give me the
Yeah.
good, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The IMDb plot summary: Harry and Sally have known each other for years and are very good friends, but they fear sex would ruin the friendship.
A very interesting way to explain that.
Yeah, that's, you know what? I feel like I was much more concerned with the length of time that the movie is about, and they were not at all concerned with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny when they have to allude to how long it's been and like they try to make them look younger and older, but at the end of the day they kind of just look the same.
I think it works more so with Sally than it does with Harry.
Yeah.
Because with with Billy Crystal, it's really just we could just keep changing that hairline.
Yeah.
They change his style somewhat too, but it's mostly about the hairline. But
It's the
I
hairline.
think it does more than a good enough job of you can tell like, oh, this is them in college, this is them later on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the writing does a really good job of that because they're the way that they talk and the way they communicate with one another and how they listen, I think is really indicative of like the maturity, you know?
And early on, how they don't listen and how clearly immature, specifically Harry is, especially on that car ride, you know?
Right, right. Um,
You know what time it is.
I'm nervous now. I don't know what time it is. Oh God, it's tagline
It's
time.
taglines, your favorite.
Ugh.
I think all three of these are kind of bad. The first tagline, it's saying this is a tagline. I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Shut the fuck up. That is not a tagline. That's a quote from the movie.
Maybe that got thrown on a DVD box for the 25th anniversary, but that's not a tagline. Can two friends sleep together and still love each other in the morning?
I just don't love that because I feel like them sleeping together doesn't happen until three-quarters of the way through the movie.
It really, yeah, I fully agree with that. And the last one, can men and women be friends or does sex always get in the way?
I like that one better. I think they could have stopped at can men and women be friends?
Just feel like the movie gives you other lines that could totally be taglines. Like at the very end of the movie is, and obviously full spoilers ahead, is a line that I thought could have easily been on a poster. It only took 3 months, 12 years and 3 months.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep.
To me,
Agreed.
that is such an obvious tagline. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure there were more in there that I would have picked out more, but once I saw that, I was like, oh, stop, that'll work.
Yeah. No, I agree. Totally. Okay, well that was kind of painless. So should we go into a little bit more detail? I'm operating under the assumption that everyone's seen this movie, but I feel like maybe we could talk a little bit about like the overall gist.
Sure. So you'll help me fill in the blanks if I miss something here.
Mhm.
Uh, Harry and Sally meet when they are both driving from the University of Chicago to New York together. Harry is off-putting, kind of makes a pass at her. You know what I mean? Is
Not to mention, he is the reason they're driving together is because his girlfriend is Sally's very close friend.
yeah,
So that's how they were linked up, that they were both going to New York. And so he's dating her friend and then kind of like hits on her a little bit.
yeah. So they do the 18-hour drive from University of Chicago to New York, which God, that's a long drive. But
Mm.
they get to I don't remember where they are, wherever the fake little Arc de Triomphe thing is.
Washington Square Park.
That's it. That's the one. And they say goodbye forever to each other, which I kind of love in a romantic comedy that, 15 minutes in, we have goodbye forever from our two main characters.
Yep.
5 years later, they run into each other again. They end up on the same flight and they still don't like each other. And then 5 more years later, they run into each other again and decide to become friends. Obviously, the movie then takes place through the trials and tribulations of their friendship.
Well,
How
I think
much
it's
more
also
spoilery
important
should
to
I get?
note.
You know what I
Well, I
mean?
think the important thing is that when they decide to become friends, it is because Sally recently went through a breakup with a man that she thought she was going to marry, and
Joe.
Harry is going through a divorce from a woman who basically blindsided him and said, I'm leaving you, and now I'm going to be in a relationship with Ira, the tax attorney.
Yeah.
So,
I can't remember the name of it, but it gets a good laugh out of me when he talks about the moving company that knew before him
oh,
about his
yeah,
impending divorce.
yes, it's oh, I can't think of the t-shirt the guy's wearing, but yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. The movers, she booked the movers a week before she told him she was leaving. So the
Yeah.
movers knew before he did. So they're both heartbroken, they're both single, and so they just start spending some time together because they're going through similar things, right? So there's somebody there that understands the pain. They're speaking on the phone when they're having a hard time sleeping. They're kind of helping one another get through the grieving process, and that's where the friendship stems from.
Yeah. But they very much stay friends after that. And a lot of the basis of the movie is on a conversation that they have in the car during that first drive together, where Harry talks about men and women can't be friends because eventually sex will always get in the way. And Sally disagrees. Obviously, Harry feels that way. He's the one stating it. And really the whole movie is about, is that true or not? You know what I mean? To an extent. But really what it's about is the differences between men and women.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also about growing and maturing. Um,
definitely. Because the characters at, 18 or whatever age they are in college, or 21, would not fit together,
yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we would be doing the movie a disservice if we didn't talk about Marie and Jess.
Yes, who are very much, I guess, foils to the two of them that we need to address. But should we do that? Should we officially get into our opinions?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into our opinions.
In this critic's opinion,
That's just like your opinion, man.
Well, I have a right to my opinion, and my opinion is you have no right to your opinion.
Obviously, this movie is starring Meg Ryan and
Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal, who are, I mean, Meg Ryan is like America's sweetheart at this point. She's in every rom-com imaginable. But Billy Crystal really not a romantic lead, at least in my opinion, or to my knowledge.
Also, just rarely in general ever a leading man, but he does such
Yeah.
a good job bringing such a vulnerability to Harry.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
still zippy and brings the lines, but he also, every one of his neuroses, you understand.
Yeah, it's really, really nice to see. And I think you are probably at this point, in 1989 thinking, well, what about Tom Hanks? What about, whoever? And Billy Crystal, it is Harry. He is perfect. So, however, we do have Sally's best friend, Marie, who is in the beginning obsessed with some man that she's seeing who is married, who is constantly saying, "Oh, I'm going to leave my wife," but she looks at his Amex statement and he's bought her lingerie, or they just bought a new dining room table. And it's very obvious that this man is never going to leave his wife, but she is just hanging on for dear life, no matter how many times people tell her she's being crazy. And then we have Jess, who is, I'm assuming is short for Jessie, who is Harry's friend, who is a writer and a little nerdy, kind of,
I think
whatever.
he's just also kind of okay with being single, it seems to be, is what's going on with him at the time.
He's very focused on his work. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And at some point, Harry and Sally decide to set one another up with their friends. They all go out to dinner. It is not going well. Harry and Marie are not hitting it off. And Sally and Jess are really not vibing. And all of a sudden, Marie quotes something that she read in an article. And it just so happens that Jess wrote that article. And immediately they are smitten with one another. They end up dating, moving in together, and getting married. And so, one thing that I think has to go into the conversation is what awesome performances we have from Bruno Kirby as Jess and Carrie Fisher as Marie.
Yes. And what they both are is, I don't want to call them alternate versions of Harry and Sally, but Marie is the female Harry, Jess is sort of the male Sally. And the difference in this relationship is that they immediately get that they're perfect for each other. And they immediately understand, like, oh, this works.
I've never thought about it like that. That
I wouldn't say it's obvious, like one to one, like we never see Jess ordering and he's got everything on the side type of thing. But I think it's very clear when you see why are these two each other's best friends. And it's like, because this is the same sex version of their best friend. Meanwhile, the opposite sex version is sitting at the table with them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're right. That's awesome. I've never thought about it like that.
That's why in that phone call scene, we have Marie and Jess also obviously understanding that these two should be together.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, sorry, now I'm doing the thing that you specifically said not to do because you have to edit it out every time. Sorry, editing, Dylan.
I'll leave that one.
I'm processing as I speak. So I think one of the best lines, the two of the best lines in the whole film, right, come from Carrie Fisher. The first is, if you don't make a move on this guy, I'm paraphrasing, then you're going to have to spend the rest of your life knowing that someone else is married to your husband. I think that is such a fabulous line. You don't seem to be agreeing with me.
I don't even remember it.
Oh my God. So they're at the boathouse and Marie has her little Rolodex out and she's trying to
Yes.
hook people up. And Sally's like, this guy's married. And she's like, oh, he's married. And she's like, well, that was 6 years ago. Maybe he's not married anymore. And, they're kind of talking about it, whatever. And essentially, she was like, do you remember?
Oh, when she brings up Harry and
No,
okay. No?
no. I mean, maybe she does, but that's not what's happening in this moment. In this moment, they're talking about some guy. She's like, do you remember when so and so's wife died and nobody wanted to make a move on him because it was too fresh? And then 6 months later, he was dead. Like, you've
Yes.
got to make a move quickly.
You're
And
saying I
she
should marry
said,
somebody or else they'll be dead soon? Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. And then she says, or somebody else is going to make a move, and then you're going to have to spend the rest of your life knowing that somebody else is married to your husband. And I love this idea as much as it's like, silly and it's very much Marie and how exaggerated it is and how desperate it is. I do like this idea that if there is somebody in the world that you feel is your person, then what the hell are you waiting for? Somebody else to take them from you, Like,
Yeah, I think that's a lovely bit of you giving that line a little bit more power than it has in the moment. And in the moment, I feel like it's just supposed to be stupid, whereas you're saying it's like it's destined, you know?
I love it. I just think it's great. I think that's what Marie and Jess end up doing, right? Like they do not waste a second,
Yeah,
even
they're not
after
on a
they're
date with each other at the time, and they're both like, no, no, I want this one. Yeah.
yeah. And then Jess is like, I'm gonna get a cab, and she's like, oh, I'll come with you, and they just dive into a cab and leave Harry and Sally on the street. It's great, but you can't waste a moment, So that's line number one, and then the second line comes when Jess and Marie each get a phone call from Harry and Sally, who are confessing that they slept together and they feel so awkward and upset and whatever. And they each get off the phone, and Marie looks at Jess and says, promise me I'll never have to be out there again. And he says to her, you'll never have to be out there again.
They do seem like such a great couple
Ah,
in the little we see of them.
and they have their wedding is so sweet. It's great. I love Marie and Jess. I think shining star, great relationship, A plus.
So I have another line. Besides, I feel like the two lines that are the classics from this movie are Billy Crystal's ending little monologue and obviously Estelle Reiner, I'll have what she's having, which
Yeah,
maybe we can get into more in a bit.
yeah.
But boy, there's a great line when Harry is talking about his divorce from Helen and he's with Jess at the Giants game. And Jess says, marriages don't break up on account of infidelity. It's just a symptom that something else is wrong. And Harry says, really? Well, that symptom is fucking my wife. And you know what? That got me pretty good.
It is so good. I love when Harry has a breakdown at Jess and Marie's when they're talking about the
Yes.
table. And he's like, and then the next thing you know, you're singing Surrey with the fringe on top in front of Ira.
This $8 dish will cost you $1,000 in phone calls to the legal firm of that's mine, this is yours. I thought you said you liked the wagon wheel table. I was being nice. Billy
It's so
Crystal,
good.
the man is funny. Like he just knows how to deliver a line because when he reaches that oomph there, it fucking cracks me up. I laughed out loud
It's so
watching it
good.
by myself.
So I have seen this
Wait,
movie.
I forgot. I'm sorry. Marie has a great line after that too. When things have settled down and it's just Marie and Jess, she goes,
Yes.
I want you to know that I will never want that wagon wheel coffee table. It's a pretty ugly table.
It's heinous.
Yeah.
I love it. So Corey and I have started to describe, mustaches are very much back in style, right? And so some men have just like a regular mustache, but some of them grow it out a little longer on the sides. So Corey will look at someone and go, that mustache is rootin' and tootin'.
Got a little bit of
That
Yosemite
mustache
Sam going. Yeah.
is rootin' and tootin'. So when we saw the coffee table, he goes, that table is rootin' and tootin'.
I also just feel like I'm not going to think of baby talk now without thinking of baby fish mouth.
Baby fish mouth, yeah. Oh man, that was funny. So I have seen this movie probably like 5 or 6 times, and the first time I ever saw it, I rented it from Blockbuster. So that lets you know how long ago it was and how old I was. And I remember thinking like, this is romantic. Like this doesn't feel romantic, right? I was a child. I was like, I don't get it.
I think it was similar for me the first time I saw it. Probably I was a little too young to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of like, what? And then I watched it again in college, sort of for the appreciation of the film, right? Because it's so renowned and whatever. And then again after I got divorced. And, I'll be honest with you, even having gone through a divorce, I was kind of like, yeah, this movie is pretty good. Like, I don't know. And watching it again last night, I think was really the first time that I was in a place where I could really fully and totally appreciate every bit of it. From the younger version of them who both want to be right and have a point to make and are so upset that someone would disagree with them, all the way up to feeling hurt by somebody and feeling like I'm not going to let you do that to me again. Like I am not a consolation prize. But I think the best moment that I've never really captured before was right after the wagon wheel table incident, the rootin' and tootin' table, where Harry is outside and he and Sally are sort of arguing with one another about like you can't just let all of your emotions out all of the time. You have to be able to like be in public. And she starts going off on a tangent and saying how she feels, and Harry waits a second and he says, "Are you finished?" And she goes, "Yes." And he goes, "Can I say something?" And she goes, "Yes." And I think the easy way to interpret that is him being like, "Are you done like yammering? Can I get a word in edgewise?" But I think that it is truly him listening to her and them having a conversation and him genuinely asking, have you said everything that you needed to say? Do you feel better? Is it okay for me to interject? And I think that was such a meaningful moment because the origination of their relationship, neither one of them was listening to one another. It was just constant yelling. And so for each of them to have come so full circle is so nice.
I very much agree. And it's important, I think, to say what does he say after he says, "Can I say something?" is all he has to say after he had this little bit of an outburst and he kind of shut on her for, not expressing herself and for not sleeping with somebody since she's broken up with Joe. He finally says, "Can I say something? Are you finished? I'm sorry." And he
Yep.
delivers in a very heartfelt, clearly he meant this way, you know?
Big hug. Yep.
Yeah. I think having watched this for the first time after going through so much of what life has to offer now, I do feel like I felt like Frank from It's Always Sunny. And I know you don't watch It's Always Sunny, so I pulled it up. It's him just going, I get it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yes.
100% was like, oh, this movie means so much more to me now. And obviously both characters, but Harry in particular, I understand a lot more now and could really relate to a lot more now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is. I think you really have to be in a certain place in your life. And I don't typically tend to believe that because I do think that a lot of art will meet you where you are. But I think this is a very particular, not that you have through certain things to get it, but I think you have to be enough of an adult who has had different iterations of their life unfold to understand the different ways that you look at things and handle things as you go through those different stages.
Yeah. I mean, I think the funny thing is I was watching, I do my research for these and I'll watch video essays and I'll watch interviews and I'll watch behind the scenes. And I saw some video essay which was just describing how this movie is romantic comedy propaganda for women to settle for less with men. And I just felt like if that's the way somebody feels, I was like, you one are having a terrible time watching entertainment because that feels very over analytical. And two, did not watch the movie and get in a meaningful way that they both mature and get to each other's levels to understand each other. Because obviously, if it was Sally at the end of the movie being with Harry from the first moment, yeah, she'd be settling for less because that Harry is no good. He's immature. He thinks he's edgy. He spits on her window. You know what I mean? I just couldn't believe it watching. It was like a 30-minute long video gap. And I just felt myself going, Jesus, multiple times as it just kept being about like, and they try and show you these videos of people who've been together for decades, but they don't say, they try and make it seem like it's a happy thing. But when these people got married decades earlier, women were basically property and couldn't even own a credit card then. And I'm like, that's the point of view you want to take about these scenes, that it's not supposed to be people in love, that instead it's maybe these women are all being held hostage. What a terrible way to watch this romantic comedy.
Yeah, honestly. And I think it's
It's a
important
bad
to,
faith way of watching entertainment. I'm just saying. It's
yeah,
like if I
I
go
think
to an
it's
action movie and go, well, John McClane couldn't do that.
right. Yeah. I also think that it really kind of infantilizes women, where it's like from like in a meta perspective too, right? Where it's like, so what you're suggesting is that Sally in this movie is brainwashed into being like, well, I guess I'm just gonna settle for what I can get. And then additionally, larger lens, right? You're saying that women watching the movie can then say, can then be like brainwashed into thinking, oh, well, I guess I should settle for less too. It's like, no. The crazy thing is that some man would see Harry's journey and think, oh, this fucking loser. It's like, no, that's actually like really great. He like really listens to her.
It's also at the end of the day, a romantic comedy, or really, I feel like we've had this discussion before. A movie should never be the basis of what your expectation relationship should be. And I remember I said once before, relationships are much more TV shows than they are movies.
Yes.
It's an everyday, you're going to work on a thing. That's why, there are some women who get in their head the fantasy, and I'm sure men too, of the grand gesture. You know what I mean? But the grand gesture is a movie thing. It's a movie thing to, we as an audience can know, oh, he means it. He loves her. He'll love her forever. In reality, life and love is much more about the small everyday gestures, the everyday ordinary gestures.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
I saw a conversation between Nora Ephron and Rob Reiner talking about the movie, and they were talking about, I think Nora Ephron was saying that somebody brought up to me, how come they're never talking about work? They're always talking about relationships. And Rob Reiner went, well, as the director, I cut around the times when they're talking about work. You know what I mean? Like, maybe that's not as interesting in the story we're in right now.
Yeah. There were times when they used the bathroom also, but we cut that too.
Yeah. Perhaps we won't watch the 8 hours a night they slept.
Yeah. I will say this too, from like a practical perspective. Something I love about this movie is that it's entirely shot in my neighborhood, Upper West Side of Manhattan.
And beautifully too. Like
Oh,
for a movie that is nothing but conversations, it is so gorgeous. It's so much more gorgeous than it has any need to be.
oh my God, just absolutely stunning. The best time of year in New York. The scenes when they're right outside the museum on 72nd Street, there's scenes where they are
The leaves in
walking.
Central Park.
Oh my God. Even just Riverside Park. Like there's a scene of them walking. I'm trying to think of what it is that they're talking about. When he's like, "Oh, you should wear skirts more." Do you remember that part where she's telling him that she's going on a date with somebody and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, I'm happy for you." That could be steps from my apartment.
Every moment in this movie looked gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
And a more gorgeous than actual reality looks like. Like if you step outside your apartment, it's not going to look like the way Barry Sonnenfeld shot it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
the Museum of Natural History, even, which it's also in movies, they have a way of, you clear out every other human being and it's just the two of them.
Yeah, which by the way, no, it's a bumping place.
Yeah, it's going to be swamped. It's going to be rootin' and tootin'.
Yeah, it's rootin' and tootin' hard.
All times.
One of my very favorite shots, which I have to say, I think about this shot at least once a week. And for some reason, I always think it's in Annie Hall, but it's not. It's in this movie. And I was so happy to see it, is when Harry and Jess are at the Giants game and they're talking about Harry's divorce. And he's explaining to him how the movers knew about it before he did. But all the while, they're having this conversation. The wave is happening. And so as they're talking about this very heavy story of how his wife left him, they're getting up and participating in the wave each time it comes around.
I do the wave, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Also, just because we mentioned Jess again, Bruno Kirby, I think, is such an underrated talent because I think he was so commonly seen in like crime roles and like The Godfather or Donnie Brasco type.
Really?
Yes, I know you've never seen him in that because the only movies you've seen him in now are this and City Slickers.
Yeah.
Where he just brings such a level of vulnerability and you empathize with his character always, and two very different characters too. I just think he gives me such a quality of Edward Norton before we had Edward Norton, or like in Ed Burns even too.
Yeah. I love Edward Norton.
Who doesn't? Well, a lot of people who work with him don't. I think that's probably why I got fired from Marvel and stuff. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's delightful. And he's just got such a disarming, like charming thing about him.
It is interesting though, and this is sort of a non sequitur, but this movie really only has 4 characters.
Yeah.
Like besides Harry, Sally, Jess, Marie, can you remember anybody else's name besides Joe and Helen who are not, they're just the people that they've broken up with, you know?
Ira.
That fucking tax attorney.
The Surrey with the fringe on top scene is so funny to me every time.
The only other name I can remember from this movie too, and he's not even a character, is Sheldon.
Sheldon, yeah. Give it to me, Sheldon.
Ride me big, Sheldon. Doesn't work.
Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. Yeah, I think, this movie does a really good job of showing very real characters. And I think even the things about Sally that are supposed to be a little quirky, like the way that she orders food at a restaurant and how she's always cold or this or that or whatever, is kind of relatable. Like it's not
Extremely.
yeah, it's not anything outlandish. I think Harry is obviously very neurotic and he's very funny. And one of my favorite things, and I'll kind of tell you how it happened. At the end of the movie, when he gives this whole big monologue to her and they embrace and they kiss, and it's very clear that they are going to be in a relationship, he pulls away and looks at her and goes, "Old, what's the song called?
Auld Lang
Old
Syne.
Lang." Old Lang Syne. What is this about? What are they talking about? Is it old? Are we not supposed to forget old relationships? Is it new? Whatever. He's kind of just like changing the subject
Are we
and
supposed
talking
to
about
remember
this thing.
people we forgot? Because how can we remember them? We already forgot.
Right. And when I tell you that that is Corey, like that is fucking Corey, to the he literally looked at me and he goes, "Oh God, do I do that?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, you do."
Well, that's the funny thing. These are very specific characters, Harry and Sally. They're not like kept vague enough that you can imprint on them type of thing. But because they're so specific, you're going to relate to something in there.
Yes, exactly.
And that's what works really well about it.
Yeah, agreed.
Corey with the guy having non sequiturs, me with the terrible divorce.
Yes, we're all a little bit Harry
We're all
here.
a little bit Harry or Sally. Which I want to ask you about something because I immediately started thinking about it. There's obviously a good back and forth scene which I also want to commend Sally's line. I just want it the way I want it. But it's one of the things that leads Harry to say, there's two kinds of women, high maintenance and low maintenance, which I think this applies to all people, really. There's high maintenance and low maintenance. And she goes, which one am I? You're the worst. You're high maintenance, but you think you're low maintenance. Now, Gab, do you think you're high maintenance or low maintenance?
I think I'm high maintenance.
I think I'm low maintenance, but I fear that I'm high maintenance.
Well, what about you would be high maintenance?
I don't know. I just think I'm constantly annoying someone, though.
I think you're low maintenance. I think the thing about you that could be high maintenance is that you are so like concerned with other people. And I mean that in like you're like, I just want to make everybody else happy. Like you're sort of like the doormat. And I think
Oh, God.
I don't know how to say that. Like you're sort of like the keeper of everybody else, right? And if you think about it, in your immediate family, you are the rational one. You are the one who keeps the peace. So, maybe your high maintenance quality is that you don't have good boundaries.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
So it's like you're easy to please, but you're also in the business of pleasing everybody else, and they're hard to please.
And I didn't have to pay for this like I do with therapy.
I'm good, right? I know that I'm high maintenance because I just like the other day, I don't remember how this came up, and out of context, it's going to sound really silly, but I think Corey like brought me my coffee in bed or something like that, and he looked at me and he said, "I just want to take care of you." And I looked at him and I said, "Good, because I want to be taken care of." I was
what?
like, "Yes, continue."
So I'm guessing Corey is low maintenance.
Corey, no, Corey is also high maintenance. You know
Oh,
what? Corey,
no.
I know we're tough. Corey and I both want things to be fucking clean and put away. So like every morning the bed gets made. Every night the couch cushions behind me get fluffed. We don't go to bed with saggy cushions. Like everything has to be put away. If the cat gets litter on the floor, it has to be vacuumed up immediately. Like we are just like that with our home. And then additionally, Corey goes to the Bronx every other Friday to get a haircut. He is always like, he has to look presentable. One time we went to the fucking corner store and I was like, I'm just going in my pajamas. And he put on like a full outfit. And I was like, fuck you, because I wanted to go in my pajamas, but now I have to get dressed. I was like, I didn't realize we were going to the prom.
Yeah, that's not cool. You got to maintain the vibe together. You're either Both dressed up or both not dressed up? Yeah.
He was like, yeah, no, we'll go comfy. Puts on Lululemon. I was like, ugh. So I think we're both kind of high maintenance, but in different ways.
I did not even know Lululemon made men's clothes.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do, yeah.
Most of my ensemble is from either Costco or Target. So that's
Ah,
most of this shirt, Target. Yeah.
okay. It's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They make good stuff. Yeah.
they do. They
Yeah.
do. Um, yeah, I think I am high maintenance. I think you are low maintenance with a touch of high maintenance, but it's mostly other people.
Mm-hmm.
Good
I'm
question.
just looking at you look like a normal person, but actually you're the angel of death. Don't we all have people who feel that way about it this life?
Oh, yeah. I also, what did you think about when Sally finds out that Joe is getting married? She finds out not because of social media, which is how it would happen today, right?
Yeah.
She finds out because Joe calls her to tell her.
Which I guess would be more of a thing at the time. Like,
I
have you heard the
suppose.
news thing? It feels a little out of place nowadays because it's not how things are done now. But we also, how often do you actually leave somebody a voicemail now instead of just texting them?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very rare.
Yeah, I would say that the movie is eternally relatable, but there are essences of it that are of its time, which
Yeah.
obviously that is one of them. But I love that scene where Sally, who has held everything in, finally calls Harry and goes, you know, what are you up to? I'm at home. Can you come over? You know what I mean? Because that feels like a
Hmm.
very realistic way of how you talk to your friend when you're okay. This is a real shit situation. You need to get here.
Yeah. And also at that point, Harry is in a relationship with somebody that his friends don't think is good for him. But he drops everything to go be with Sally. I also really love the way that Sally explains sort of what she's feeling in this situation. That it's not that he didn't want to get married, it's that he didn't want to marry her. And the reason that well, this comes earlier when they're talking about like, we're so happy we don't have kids because we can do this and we can do that, but we never do that. So, I want that. And then they end up breaking up.
I don't remember where it was, but we can fly to this place tomorrow, or we can have
Rome.
sex. We can fly to Rome tomorrow. We can have sex on the kitchen floor, but we never fly to Rome. And I think it's Harry goes, and the kitchen floor remains immaculately clean,
Yeah.
Mexican cut tile or whatever it is.
Very, very hard and cold Mexican ceramic tile.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she realizes she wants more than that. And of course, Joe doesn't. And so they break up. And years later, she finds out that he's getting married. So he clearly changed his mind. He just didn't want it with her. And that's hurtful.
It is. It's extremely hurtful. Obviously, what Harry goes through with Helen is obviously extremely hurtful too,
Yeah.
which I just keep thinking about. Well, it's symptoms fucking my wife. I do think also it's such a clever tool in this movie to put in between all of these scenes with Harry and Sally, which we sort of alluded to them, these couples who have all been together decades and are telling their love stories.
Yeah. So funny. And it's done in such a way that sort of pokes fun at old people, right? My favorite older couple is the one where they're both telling the story at the same time.
That's my favorite too, but more so because of the ending, because they're saying the exact same thing together. But it's just that ending where she talks about how he was on the third floor, I was on the 12th floor, and she states it so matter of factly. And I don't know, it's the line, I wrote up 9 extra floors just to keep talking to her, which in a world where we so often do not want to inconvenience ourselves, and it's not even that meaningful thing, but it is said in such a meaningful way.
Yeah.
Whoever that random actor was, great job,
So good.
even though you're surely dead now.
Yeah. Yeah. R.I.P. to you, sir, but
Yes.
awesome. Good work. Um, I also love the story of the couple who got married and then got divorced and then got married again.
Yeah, which does not feel realistic, but I'm sure it's happened at some point.
Yeah, of
I
course
think
it
all of the
has.
stories are real stories. It's just actors portraying them or something like
That's
that.
so awesome.
I also like this exchange between Harry and Sally where they're both coping with Joe and Helen, and he says something, I miss her. And she says, I don't miss him. I really don't, not even a little. You know what I miss? I miss the idea of him, which I think is such an interesting way of putting it, but I totally understand what is meant there because Harry, even the way he talks about Helen earlier, isn't saying something specifically about Helen, because he says something about the last thing you want to do is date your wife who's supposed to love you, which is what I'm saying to her when it occurs to me that maybe she doesn't. So I say to her, don't you love me anymore? You know what she says? I don't know if I've ever loved you. But his whole point was it wasn't about Helen specifically. It was about, I'm glad to be married because I'm glad to, as Marie puts it later, not have to be out there anymore and be just with this person who loves me implicitly, which sadly she doesn't. I've lost my train of thought, but I was on there for a while.
You were there for a while. I think what you're trying to say is Sally kind of understands that she misses the idea of Joe and not necessarily Joe himself, and Harry is still sort of figuring that out.
Yeah. That's good. That's much better than my ramblings. Yes.
Got you. You're welcome. I'm trying to think if there's like anything else that I wanted to address about this movie before we move on. There's just like not a whole lot that happens. It's just so funny and you just love the characters so much that, in a world where I think movies that are entirely based around conversation don't really exist anymore because we need to be stimulated. You know what's a crazy trend that really scares me? You ever watch a YouTube video and now they split the screen and half of it is somebody talking and the other half is like a video game or like videos of people jumping off of things because we can't pay attention?
Yeah, I thought at first I thought that was just done to avoid copyright infringement on certain things if they were showing like a scene from something, but maybe that is what it is too.
Oh, no, I've seen it done
Where it's
on
just talking.
like, yeah,
Oh God.
it's really upsetting. But I think like that's kind of where we're at in life, where like people can't pay attention. I mean, if you put a video up on Instagram and it's over 60 seconds, nobody's gonna watch it. Like the view rate on videos is it's measured by do people watch past the first, excuse me, do people watch past the first 3 seconds? So like a movie that is just people talking and long scenes with people talking and conversations that go on for a while, it's so entertaining and it's just so captivating. And I imagine that new audiences continue as they get old enough to see it and enjoy it and appreciate it.
It's so funny that we don't have the attention span that we used to, obviously, with social media, but the movies feel like they're getting longer than ever. Because this movie
So
is just
fucking
conversation, but it's only an hour and 36 minutes.
Oh, it's the perfect length for a movie. It is true, but I think all of these action movies, like when I think of long movies, I think of Marvel specifically. They're just it's that overstimulation. It's blowing shit up and people flying through the air and CGI. It's like if you got rid of that, what is there?
Yeah, but there's also, much as I love some of these prestige directors, there's lots of movies, Oppenheimer I loved and it won Best Picture, and I think it's great. I don't know if it needs to be 2.5 hours or however 3 hours, I think maybe even.
It's insane.
There's a lot of movies that when I really sit down and think about it, I'm like, you probably don't need that scene. I don't know. All this to say, let's just commend Rob Reiner one more time on both knowing how to pace a movie and letting actors act, because he does such a good job of, in this and all the other movies we named of his, getting performances out of actors, letting them rehearse and workshop things, because I'll state in the facts that there's a couple things that they weren't in the script that they figured out type of thing that are some of the best parts of the movie.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear about this.
Is that a good segue to get to the facts?
It better be because we're going.
I want the truth!
Face the facts, ducks.
Facts have no place with an organized religion.
Starting with our ratings on IMDb, it has a 7.7 out of 10. On the tomato meter, it has an 88% with 115 fresh reviews and 15 rotten, and an audience score of 89% with an average score of 4.2 out of 5. The movie was released July 16th, 1989, in something like 50 theaters. It was limited release. The movies it opened behind, at the same time, you could have seen Lethal Weapon 2, Batman with Michael Keaton, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Ghostbusters 2, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Wow.
It had a budget of $16 million. It grossed $93 million. The critics' consensus: Rob Reiner's touching, funny film set a new standard for romantic comedies, and he was ably abetted by the sharp interplay between Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan. Dodged a bullet there. I did not think I was going to be able to say ably abetted. Wow, good for me. Our reviews: Roger Ebert gave it 3 stars. What makes it special, apart from the Efron screenplay, is the chemistry between Crystal and Ryan. Jay Boyar from the Orlando Sentinel. During the slow passages, I wondered to what extent the film's creators are aware of its Woodyisms and to what degree they feel guilty about ripping Alan off.
I thought about that a little bit where I was like, is this a Woody Allen character or is this Billy Crystal also just kind of being culturally from the same place?
Woody Allen doesn't own being a neurotic Jew.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, completely.
Based the character on Rob Reiner. And
Aw.
I think hearing that and hearing him talk, I'm like, no, I think he's just also neurotic. But if you
Also
did
a
want to
Jew,
compare
correct?
this, yes, if you did want to compare this with Woody Allen movies, I think this is better than any Woody Allen movie, I would say.
There's a lot of it that reminds me of Annie Hall, if I'm being honest with you.
Sure, Annie Hall is, the starter point for most romantic comedies. You know what I mean?
Even just like the walking and talking. You know how Woody Allen has that famous shot of people like talking and walking away?
No.
Aren't you a fucking film major?
Ouch.
Okay,
Could you
well,
be a little more
newsflash.
specific?
Newsflash, Woody Allen's famous shot, which we actually talked about in Midnight in Paris, is people walking like along like a really really long street, and they start very close to the camera and they walk all the way until they become like little bits of nothing.
Okay.
We actually see that shot in this in reverse, where Harry and Sally are on 72nd Street and they're walking toward the camera, and they start very far away and they get bigger and bigger as they come closer.
Yeah, I certainly don't think Woody Allen owns that shot, but okay.
No, he doesn't. I'm not saying he does.
Oh, okay.
Now, you did gloss over Rob Reiner, may he rest in peace, also being a Jewish New Yorker.
Member of the tribe.
Love it. Love it.
Our next review from Gene Siskel from the Chicago Tribune. When Harry Met Sally pleasantly affirms the institution of marriage while showing how difficult it is to achieve a lasting one.
Okay.
And Alexander Walker from the London Evening Standard, a comedy about a relationship in which the people express feelings about themselves every minute they're together, yet do nothing about it.
Say that again slowly.
A comedy about a relationship in which the people express feelings about themselves every minute they're together, yet do nothing about it.
Is that true?
I don't agree with that at all, actually. I think each conversation they have, they're not actively changing themselves, but over the course of the movie, every character changes.
Yeah.
You want to hear some Letterboxd reviews?
I really do.
Our first one, which because I keep finding ones that he's reviewed, Scott Interrante,
Yay!
who does the music for this podcast. Harry is such a prick, but I get it. That's the magic of Nora Ephron.
I disagree. I mean, he is in the beginning.
Yeah. Next one from Jay. No more Tinder, just Carrie Fisher and her Rolodex picking your ideal mate.
Yes.
Karsten. She has great hair. He has got awful hair. Simple as that. Branson Reese. I think the scene where she pretends to come is great. The old lady wants to come too. She'll eat whatever it takes to come.
Oh my God.
What the fuck? God damn it. You made me laugh. It's directed by Rob Reiner, who also directed This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, Misery, A Few Good Men, and North, and most famously starred as Meathead, the son-in-law on All in the Family. The screenplay is written by Nora Ephron, who also wrote Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, and Julie and Julia. And the movie stars Meg Ryan as Sally Albright, who you may know from Top Gun, You've Got Mail, and Sleepless in Seattle. Billy Crystal as Harry Burns, who you may know from Monsters, Inc., Analyze This, and City Slickers. Carrie Fisher as Marie, who you may know from The Burbs, Drop Dead Fred, and Star Wars. And Bruno Kirby as Jess, who you may know from Good Morning Vietnam, City Slickers, and Stuart Little. Gab, would you like to hear some fun facts?
I do.
I stated this already, but the segments of married couples telling the stories of how they met are real stories that Rob Reiner collected for the film, and they hired actors to relay the stories. The scene where we see all four lead characters talking to each other individually on various phones took 60 takes to nail.
Oh, wow.
Because they were all actually on phone lines talking to each other, so it had to be somewhat musically done. And I've seen them talking about it now, and Meg Ryan talks about that apparently on like the 54th take, they got it. And then the sound guy went, there was a bird in the rafters. We got to do it again.
Oh.
And then eventually on like take 61 or something like that, they finally got it.
Wow.
The orgasm scene was filmed at Katz's Deli, an actual restaurant in New York's East Houston Street.
Mhm.
The table at which the scene was filmed now has a plaque on it that reads, "Where Harry Met Sally. Hope you have what she had." According to writer Nora Ephron, the infamous "I'll have what she's having" line was suggested by Billy Crystal.
Love it.
And Meg Ryan, I believe, is the one that suggested that she actually fake an orgasm and that they do it somewhere public, because originally it was just a conversation.
That's great.
At a test screening, director Rob Reiner reported that during the fake orgasm scene, all of the women in the audience were laughing uproariously while all of the men were silent.
Incredible. And unsurprising.
The film is based on director Rob Reiner's experiences post-divorce and as a single man. He had been married for 10 years, then divorced for 10 years. Coincidentally, Reiner met his current wife during the making of the film, Michelle Singer. Meeting her is what led to the ending we have now. Originally, the film ended differently, with the two not getting together and going their separate ways at the end, which is insane to me, and I can't imagine a very depressing version of the film, I think.
And I mean, Nora Ephron's version, I imagine.
Yeah, that was her.
Like,
Nora Ephron wrote the script, but it was working with Reiner on the story idea.
oh, I understand. Okay, so okay. Yeah, I would that would be so sad.
Yeah, right. Billy Crystal's line at the end of the movie about "I love the crinkle that you get above your nose when you think I'm saying something crazy" is improvised by him. So is that final line, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible, is from him as well.
That's great. I wonder if his little ad lib about the crinkle above her nose is why she got so much fucking plastic surgery done that now she's
Oh,
unrecognizable.
she is a little unrecognizable, yeah.
It's really sad because she's so cute.
The quote, "I'll have what she's having," was not only voted number 33 on the AFI's list of the best 100 movie quotes in American film, it is also the only quote on the list spoken by a non-professional actor, since it was Rob Reiner's mother, Estelle Reiner. It's also the only line of dialogue ever delivered on film by Estelle Reiner.
Wow.
Which is, when you think about the fact that her husband was Carl Reiner, her son was Rob Reiner, I'm like, you motherfuckers could throw her in another movie of yours?
Yeah, that was her only shot.
Yeah, what the hell?
What did she do? You don't know that. You don't have that up.
I don't just have all information in my brain.
You're not just all knowing? All right.
No.
Well, I'm sure I could look it up. What was her? She probably was just a fucking stay-at-home mom, if we're being honest.
Estelle Reiner.
Let's see. It says American actress.
I guess
she was
just say
born
that.
June 5th. I'm June 4th. And yet she is older than me. She was Jewish. Let's see. Life and career. Oh, she died in 2008. She was 94. It's not bad. This
We should all
page
live
feels
to be
like
94, Diana.
it's not about her at all. They're like Carl Reiner's television show. In her 60s, Reiner became a cabaret singer and performed for decades until just a few years before her death. She studied the theater with method acting pioneer Lee Strasberg. She appeared in a number of film comedies, including with Tom DeLuise in the 1980 film Fatso as Mrs. Goodman, and in the
Is
1983
that with
movie.
Dom DeLuise? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
I was
What
like,
did I
who's
say?
Tom DeLuise?
Sorry, I don't know who that is. And in the 1983 movie The Man with Two Brains with Steve Martin, and in Mel Brooks's To Be or Not to Be. So whatever fact you just had, I disproved.
I didn't say, I mean, I suppose you did by naming that she had some other credits. Yes, you win this
Yes.
round, Gab.
Thank you.
Curses.
Wikipedia.
Bill Murray, Jeff Bridges, and Harrison Ford were considered to play Harry.
Oh my God.
Albert Brooks supposedly turned it down, and Richard Dreyfuss supposedly had interest in it as well. And Rob Reiner ended up casting his close friend Billy Crystal. He just told him, I had to see other people first.
That's fair. You don't write that role and think, oh well, it could be Harrison Ford. It's like, no, this is Billy Crystal. It was Billy Crystal when he wrote it.
That's what he said, that he wrote it for him. I cannot picture Harrison Ford. I could maybe picture Albert Brooks. Maybe.
It's Billy Crystal.
Yeah.
Unless it was going to be Woody Allen himself.
Or Rob Reiner. Molly Ringwald was cast as Sally at one point, allegedly. I can't picture anybody else being Sally either.
No.
In 2022, it was elected for preservation in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress to be made culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant.
Good.
Harry and Sally's final interview at the end of the film is completely improvised. And again, from that conversation between Rob Reiner and Nora Ephron, When Reiner pitched it to Ephron, Nora Ephron says he said it was an idea two people become friends at the end of the first major relationship in each of their lives, and they make a decision not to have sex because it will ruin the friendship, and then they have sex and it ruins the friendship.
Yeah.
Gab, that's all the facts I got. You want to get to some mail?
Let's do the mail.
Mail time!
When you control the mail, you control information.
Mom asked me to ask you if there's any mail for us here by mistake.
What?
So first, I have a comment for The Muppet Christmas Carol from Scotty Cameron.
Hello, Scotty Cameron.
Now, this is an oldie. I had this on VHS tape as a kid. Yeah, I may be Gen Z, but I remember video cassette tapes and Blockbuster Video. I got my copy of Batman Begins from Blockbuster. I watched it a few times because of Kermit the Frog and the Jim Henson puppets. Half the time I watched it, I would ask where Elmo and Cookie Monster were because they were also Muppets, right? I didn't realize until much later that the Muppets is a spin-off of Sesame Street. Sidebar. Sesame Street, those are technically Muppets, but I really don't think of them that way, and it does not jive with me very well.
I feel like Muppet is a proper noun.
Yes, but because they're made by the Jim Henson Company, they are technically Muppets.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, it doesn't really quite work like that.
Yeah. Now back to Scotty. Yeah, Michael Caine is a great Scrooge. That man is a talented actor. To think I would later know Scrooge as Alfred in Batman. If you want to see a great Christmas Carol adaptation, I'd recommend the Patrick Stewart version because Captain Picard is amazing as Mr. Scrooge.
Let me just say, I don't want to see another Christmas Carol adaptation.
I know you don't, Gab, but for some reason guilt trips you.
I feel so guilty.
Why are Marley and Marley after me?
White guilt at its finest.
And then the last thing he said, is this Kyle's first no? And I think it is because it's the first time he wasn't bringing the movie.
Yeah.
That prick. Speaking of which, here's Kyle with some mail for us.
Great.
Dylan, Gab, Happy New Year. And with that being said, I'm curious. A lot of people will make New Year's resolutions and they won't necessarily stick to them. But, if it gives you motivation for positive growth or change, I think that can be really great. And I'm curious, did either of you set a New Year's resolution that you wound up sticking to? I know for myself personally, humble brag, but in 2024, I wanted to have a podcast episode release every single week. And I can say that I stuck to that for that year and to 2025. So I had 104 weeks in a row, and I'm really proud of that. And it's something that makes me feel really happy that I stuck to that New Year's resolution. I hope you both are doing great. And if you took time off during the holiday, I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Bye, everybody.
And you can hear Kyle on his podcast, Movies to Watch Before You Die.
I was just going to say, Kyle, was that just a plug for your own podcast?
Also on the Film Realist. What did he ask?
Yeah.
Did you have a New Year's resolution, Gab?
So I don't listen. I'm going to be so for real with you. I work in the fitness and nutrition industry. I don't do New Year's resolutions. I do set goals for the new year, and I have accomplished many of them. Not like any that are really all that interesting in this context. But I have accomplished a few, but I set goals. I think I firmly am who I am, and I'm probably not going to change too much. So I don't go for resolutions. What about you?
I did set a resolution. I drink so much Diet Coke. So that this year I was thinking about, even though it's sugar-free and calorie-free, I was like, I should make a change. So my resolution is to drink even more Diet Coke. I'm going to have 10 Diet Cokes a day. I'm going to have all the Diet Cokes. You cannot stop me. I don't want to hear about aspartame. It's got less aspartame than so many other stupid things do. Woo!
Yeah. No, you're fine. Actually, my boss talks about this all the time, that like the amount of Diet Coke you'd have to drink in order to have some kind of issue with aspartame is so high, even you can't do it. But you know what? I wish you Godspeed in your attempt.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. So that's it, Kyle. I'm going to start like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm going to have a Diet Coke in each hand and just slam them together and pour them back. Let me just take a quick sip. Diet Coke, sponsor us. Come on.
Honestly, we're both sitting here sipping them.
Let me quit my job and just drink Diet Coke for you. I've been doing it for the love of the game. Let me do it for the love of money. Yeah, that's all I've got.
All right, then back to When Harry Met Sally.
Do or do not. There is no try.
The guilty will be punished.
Sentence is death.
Well, Dylan, I have always had a place in my heart for this movie, and I think every time I've watched it, it has been a different experience, and probably none better than the experience I just had. I think it is a really funny, really smart, really interesting, very captivating movie, which really just centers around dialogue and good conversation. We've got four really, really good performances from four beloved actors. And I think if you are somebody that has ever had a relationship end and a new one begin, there will be something in there for you that you can relate to. I think it is a masterpiece, and I'm hoping that not only do you think it's a movie to watch before you die as well, but that it is officially in your like top five. So I'm going in big. So I say yes.
It's not my top five,
Oh, fuck you.
but I have a hard time saying anything I don't like about this movie. And it is such an obvious movie to watch before you die that I almost thought of telling you we shouldn't do it on the podcast.
It was
But
your idea.
I know. I think it's just because we had talked about The Princess Bride before it's nearly a perfect movie to me. And I think
But this
that
is like a new opinion, right? Like you didn't come in thinking, "Oh, I'm about
I
to
don't
watch
think
a
I
perfect
felt
movie."
as strongly about it before having watched it once before this as I do now, that I would recommend this movie to anyone who, if you were going to suggest to me any romantic comedy to watch, I think the first one I would suggest would be this.
Mm. But not a top fiver?
My top five is pretty strongly entrenched, Gab.
Okay.
Yeah.
Top 10?
Yes, you could obviously make the argument for top 10. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Then I feel better about that. Okay.
Good.
All right.
I don't
Well,
want you to feel disappointed with my overarching point being obviously this is movie on before you die.
no, not disappointed
You
at all.
should feel good coming out of this, Gab.
Yeah. Yeah, because you were kind of an asshole about Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail.
I think we agreed on one of them. I think You've Got Mail we agreed on. Sleepless in Seattle we did not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Nora Ephron, but not Rob Reiner.
Just got that extra touch. Maybe it needed Billy Crystal. Maybe we need Billy Crystal in all of these movies.
It did make me think we should do Monsters, Inc.
We should do. Maybe the fact that we both want to means we shouldn't, though.
Yeah. I've only seen it once.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, maybe.
But I mean, I love Billy Crystal, so I'm sure it's great.
He and John Goodman are so phenomenal in that movie. Maybe we will do it. Maybe we will.
I do frequently say, put that thing back where it came from. For so help me.
So help me.
So help me. So help me.
Oh my god. Okay, so I guess we should start saying the things that we say to wrap this up.
All right. Well, if you would like to submit a question, a comment, let us know how you feel about this movie or any other, including one that you would like for us to review, which, let's be honest, we probably won't, but you could try. You can send a message to movies to watch before you die at gmail.com. You can send a voice note there. You can send us artwork. We'll put it on our fridge. You can send us money. There's a Venmo. It's mine, but you can send money to it. We also have a store where you can buy merch, which is also kind of like sending money, but then you get something in exchange. We belong to the Hall of Pods podcasting network. We have friends on there. You should listen to their stuff. Just listen to ours first. And, have a nice life.
You did a great job explaining how commerce works there, guy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because eventually things move on and you don't take someone to the airport. And I never wanted anyone to say to me, how come you never take me to the airport anymore?
It's amazing. You look like a normal person, but actually you are the angel of death.